So you have just less than 6 weeks left for IFT, to be precise, 41 days from now. So that's why we have the session of 40 days to IFT. Okay, so we are going to talk about what should be done in the next 40 days in order to crack this examination. And many of you must have applied for the examination and will be appearing for the same. And how is it different? What was the structure last year? How you should mold your preparation? Because see, all of you are preparing for CAT. Okay, I'm sure that there will be very few aspirants who would be writing IFT but not CAT. Okay, so the people who are writing IFT, most of them, uh, I would say almost 99.9% or even more than that, are a subset of those who are appearing for CAT. So after CAT, you just have 1 week to appear for the examination. So how do you change your strategy in that 1 week, right? And before that, what should we do so that you are well prepared for the examination? You just have 1 week in between, and you cannot do much in that 1 week. All of us know that you can't do much in that 1 week, right? So what you have to do is you have to do now itself, and then of course you that 1 week would just be a sort of revision itself, and how to carry your momentum from CAT to IIFT. Okay, so we shall discuss all these things in today's video. So good evening all once again. So we have 40 days left, right? 40 days of preparation. On the 41st day you would be appearing for the examination. That's on 5th of December. Okay. This is our YouTube schedule. On these timings we have these sessions on our YouTube channel. And we have these courses running up for CAT 2021 and 2022. You may enroll in it, and we have also launched a course for multiple examinations, SNAP and MAT, TestNet, etc. So first of all, let us understand why it is important, right? What would you be what would be the need of IFT, why it is important, and what is special about this examination? Okay. Okay, Hisam, if you're appearing not attempting CAT, only IFT, then of course then it should be a normal process, right? Just keep preparing for the examination, right? And the way others are preparing for CAT, you prepare for IFT, right? So there is nothing special if you are not appearing in CAT, right? Even if you are appearing in CAT, there is not much difference. Okay, so when you talk about CAT and IFT, three of the four sections are same. Okay, in fact, if you are not appearing for CAT, focus on the VA part of verbal ability. VA, I mean that grammar, vocab, etc. Because those are the things that are not tested in CAT. So the ones who are appearing for CAT would be just preparing for basically the non. They would be preparing only that RC part, right? So you can prepare for the VA part. Okay. So exam is 1 week after the CAT, right? So you have the momentum, right? So you have this momentum with you. You can carry that momentum, and that is what benefit you have is if you are continuous in your preparation. So it's not like you have been waiting for months, right? You've been preparing for CAT, and just 1 week post CAT you have IFT. So your momentum is with you, right? So this means that. Yes, you have that in you are high on momentum, and then you can carry to the day of the examination, and then can of course give you a good result. And many people appear for this examination, other examinations. So of course, right, CAT is one of the examinations. What if it does not go well? The reason why people appear for other examinations is this, right? So see, of course, first preference for anyone, every B school aspirant would be the IIMs, isn't it? Or maybe in some case, if finance is the constraint, maybe they would look for FMS, or if they belong to Maharashtra, and like then in that case JBIMS. But every MB aspirant would aspire for IIMs, right? IFT, I don't think that anyone will have the preference that I don't want to go to IIMs. I just want to go after IFT, right? So this is obviously the plan B for most of the aspirants. Okay, so it's like what if CAT does not go well, right? If CAT does not go well, that I have a good option with me, which is IIFT. So that's a plan B, and you should keep in mind that you should not ignore plan B also. Okay, so it is, see, success is not guaranteed. Okay, so maybe you are smart, maybe you prepared well, but who knows what might go wrong on the day of the examination, right? Or anything might happen, right? Or maybe it could be just a DILR set that can make or break the paper. Maybe you got stuck in one of the sets, right? Or maybe a few quant questions, or maybe a reading comprehension did not go well and you just got nervous, or anything could happen, right? So you should always have a plan B, and this is a good plan B to have. As I just said that the examination is just 1 week after CAT, so you have the momentum also with you in order to do well in this test. And one good thing about this examination is there is no sectional timing, right? You can have a flexible strategy, and we will discuss that strategy. What should be the strategy to maximize your score, right? There is no sectional timing, but there is a sectional cutoff. And the sectional cutoffs are marginal, those are not very high scores. So, yes, you can deploy some good strategy in order to maximize your score. Now, what are the challenges in IIFT? Let's talk about those challenges also. First thing is speed matters. So you have 2 hours, right? 120 minutes to attempt 110 questions. Okay, so leave 20 questions of GK, right? That would hardly take 5 minutes. It should not take more than 5 minutes to attempt those 20 questions. So you have essentially 90 questions in 115 minutes. And so this is the ideal time that you have. And this is one of the questions, quant questions from last year's paper. This is one of the questions. So almost all questions, right? If you see that in quant, you will have at least half this length. This will be the length of the questions. This is the longest of the lot, but most of the questions would be half or 3/4 of this length, or maybe 2/3. You won't find like 2-line question in IIFT, right? You would find these verbose questions. And most of the questions in quant, you would see 4 or 5 lines at least. So it speed matters, right? This is just one question that I showed you, that was the longest, and if you take the average length of a question would be around half of this. Apart from that, lengthy RCs, reading comprehensions, also long passages. Okay, so you have to read a lot. So you have to read a lot. It means that you should have a good speed, good comprehension speed. Not only I'm talking about the verbal section, but also in quant also you should be able to process information also, isn't it? So you have to be a quick reader for this examination, because speed is really an important factor. The questions are quite lengthy. Okay, it's not that questions are short. So the questions are quite lengthy. And if you go to if you go to the DI section, it is notorious for calculation intensive DI. Okay, very lengthy DI sets, very heavy calculations. So like this is from last year. So they mentioned that there are 4 items A, B, C, D. They have some Rex price also, and this is the total production, and this is the production of 4 items, and then some Rex price related to that. So too much calculations involved in the DI section. Okay, that is another challenging part. Then what is more important in this examination is a balanced approach, right? You have 4 sectional cutoffs, and you have to clear all 4 sections. It's not like 3 sections, right? So 4 sections. Now we'll discuss that. Is it a challenge, or can we play it smart way? Okay, so I'll give you that. So first, let me tell you the marks of each of the sections. Last year, VARC, the marks is 105. Okay, if you talk about the DILR section, the marks are 90. QA 75, and general awareness 30 marks, right? So if you talk about the cutoffs in general awareness must be 5 to 6 marks, not very high, right? Not very high cutoff. Okay, in quant also maybe 15 to 18 marks. It DILR also maybe 18 to 20. In VA it might be some 25 to 30, right? So to be on the safe side, you need around, like if you do around 12 questions in VA, your cutoff is done, right? 12 questions out of 35. If you're able to do that one third of the section, you are safe, almost safe, right? In DILR, you might need, let's say, 7 questions to be safe, or 7 to 8 questions, two sets of four questions, right? So if you do two sets of four questions, you're almost safe. Quant, as I said, like let's say 6 questions, right? 6 questions, 6 individual questions, then you are safe. GK, 4 to 5 questions. Okay, now this is the minimum that you need for sectional cutoffs. So although there are sectional cutoffs, the cutoffs are not very high, the cutoffs are quite low. So what strategy you should apply is you should maximize your score, right? Now see, GK is just 30 marks, right? People make a lot of buzz about GK, right? Don't worry about that. Don't think that even if you are very good at GK, you can only score up to 30 marks, right? 30 marks is not going to be a significant game changer, right? Make sure that you do not go below the cutoff, right? Maybe you are able to do 5, 6, or you are able to get 7, 8 marks, or maybe you are able to get 15, 20 marks, right? See, no one can get in GK, you won't be able to go beyond 25, right? It's very, very difficult because GK is very random. Okay, many people talk about that GK is very important, GK is very important. That is a myth, right? GK is important. Yes, you have to clear the cutoff in GK, but it should not be the deciding factor in your score. So if you see, these are the main sections wherein you can score high, right? Now if you talk about the type of test takers, there are two kinds of people: the ones who are good at verbal ability, and second category are the ones who are good with quant and DILR. So if generally if someone is good in quant, they would be good in DILR as well. Okay, so that's a general thing that people are generally good with, like if a person is good with quant, should be good with DILR as well, especially DI, if not with LR, but quant and DI just go in hand. Okay, but this thing, if you talk about verbal ability, if someone is good with verbal, can maximize the score in verbal section, and if someone is good with quant, can maximize the score in quant and DI. So what you need to make sure is you get to minimum cutoff in all the sections, and then you play the maximization part. Okay, suppose let's talk about a candidate, right? A candidate is a good one who could score really well in the quant and DILR section. Let's say a person who is really good with quant and DILR manages to get, let's say, 10 marks in general awareness. Okay, in verbal, okay, 35. His average, he did not do very exceedingly well, but managed to get 35, right? In quant plus DILR, let's say the person goes 40 and 50 marks, right? So 40, 50, say 90 marks, right? So 135 would be a very, very good score, and 135, the person will be able to easily clear the cutoff, right? So it's a very, very good score. So if you get, let's say, around 120 plus out of 300 marks, that should be in the safe zone, because the paper is difficult. Okay, so make sure that you are able to maximize your score in one or two of the sections. So generally people who are good with quant will be good in DILR also, so they will be able to maximize in those two sections, and if you are good with verbal ability, you would be able to score in verbal ability section. Okay, so that is required, a balanced approach, so that you clear the bare minimum cutoff in all sections, and then move on to maximizing your score, right? And as I said, that GK should not be ignored altogether. See, GK is something that you might not be preparing, right? Because it is not asked in CAT, so you may not have prepared till now. Do give some time for GK. We'll talk about what are the common topics that are asked in GK, and make sure that you cross that minimum barrier, right? So let's say if you do 5 to 6 questions or somewhat more than that, that is good enough, right? But you should not be completely focused on GK only. There are some people who think that only GK matters. No, GK does matter. It should not be ignored, because there are some candidates who are good with other sections, but they ignore GK altogether. So you should not ignore it, but should not focus too much on the section. So this was the pattern, as I said, that there are 110 questions. This was the pattern last year and the year before as well. Okay, so quant 25 questions, VARC 35, DILR 30, and GA 20 questions. Okay, so there is 1/3 negative for each incorrect answer. Okay, so you should not be randomly marking the answers. So make sure that you are choosing your answers wisely. Now this is the section wise distribution of questions. So if you see the quant section, heavy on arithmetic, heavy on geometry. So see that 18 out of 25 questions, right? Almost 3/4 of the section is arithmetic and geometry, right? So it becomes very important to have good hold on these topics. Okay, so year after year, if you see the pattern, arithmetic holds a good picture. So arithmetic, algebra, and geometry, these three constitute around about, let's call it, around 80% of the paper, right? So you should have good hold on these parts. Now these are the things, these are the same things that you are preparing for CAT as well. So syllabus, if you talk about the syllabus of quant, right, it is, the syllabus is same as that of CAT. So if you are preparing for CAT, of course you would be done with your IFT preparation also. So no extra preparation needed in quant section, right? So feel safe that if you are prepared well for CAT, no extra effort is required for IFT. The same topics are there. Yes, some questions can be lengthy. That is the trend of IFT, but the syllabus is the same. So whatever you have covered in arithmetic, algebra, geometry, whatever the topics in CAT, same topics are tested in IFT as well. So no change in that. Now VARC is something which is consist of two parts. One is RC, which is 16 questions, 4 RCs of 4 questions each. Now you can pick what topics you want to pick, right? So there are some people who want to do passages on the area of their comfort. So these were the passages that were asked last year, and you can see that this is something very like you have passages from different sort of topics, right? So it says that role of government, some US context, right? Then something on plastic packaging, right? So something that you could, most of the people I believe could do this passage, right? Then group behavior influencing individual behavior, so something about psychology. So if someone is interested, might have done this passage, but if on the other hand, if does not find comfort in reading those passages, might have skipped this. The importance of culture on ecological activity. Okay, so these were the topics of last year, right? So you can see that VARC is a complete thing, right? If you talk about CAT, it is all about logic-based verbal, right? Here you have vocab plus grammar as well. See, synonym, antonyms, analogies, fill in the blanks, correct sentences, all grammar and vocab-based questions, right? Match word meaning. So you need to have good hold of vocabulary and grammar. Okay, idioms, parajumbles. Parajumbles are also a part of VARC. Okay, so you need to be well in all these things. So if you are preparing for IFT apart from CAT, you need to prepare for these things as well. Basically, vocab plus grammar, right? See, this RCs you have already been preparing, so there is no separate thing ki IFT will have separate kind of RCs. Whatever you have prepared, like whatever sort of techniques that you have for reading comprehension, the same things go with IFT as well, right? So no separate part for this. Only for these things you need to prepare. You need to have some practice of vocab and grammar things, right? So you can use books like Raymond Murphy, right, Ren and Martin for understanding the grammar rules, right? Vocab, you can use some flashcards if you have done normal US. So those things would help you. And of course, if you read, right? If you read, these things already get sorted out, right? If you read, your vocab gets enhanced. If you read, you understand how sentences are structured, even though you do not know the rules. You that automatically gets adjusted to your language skills, that you understand, okay, this sentence is structured in a wrong way, because you have read a lot, so you know that what is the correct structure of sentences, right? Or maybe for fine tuning you might have to practice for grammar, but vocab can be built by reading. Okay, so those are the things that you need to focus on apart from your regular this thing. So if you're writing IFT as well, so for the next 30 days till you have CAT, or please make sure that some part of your verbal preparation should go on for these things as well. I mean, at least give 30 minutes a day apart from your preparation for CAT. See, as I told you, for quant you do not have to give extra time for IFT, because it is the same thing as that of CAT, right? So if you're writing CAT, so same thing will be asked in IFT as well. So no need to have some extra time. But for verbal, I would say give 30 minutes for all these things, right? Synonym, antonyms, analogies, right? So give some time for this as well. Now talking about DILR, if I say the topics are the same, but the thing is that these are calculation intensive. Okay? If you see this thing, so last time it was 16 DI and 14 LR. Okay, so there were 7 sets of like 444 and then 442 and then some 6 miscellaneous questions. Now, if you talk about this thing, DI part, it is calculation intensive. Now, if you are one of those who fears calculations, right? There are some people who are not good with calculations, right? So in that case, you will have to think that, okay, you have to maximize your score in some other section, right? So you have to make strategy that way, that you will try to maximize your score in some other section, right? So I mean, you choose wisely. These are calculation intensive DI, so choose them wisely, that uh, what should be the sort of questions that you would be uh, targeting, right? So make sure that you have those things in mind, that like these are the sets. You pick one or two sets, right? So see those sets, take some time. Let's say you take 5 minutes to I mean, 5 minutes is too much, right? Let's say 2-3 minutes to see that what type of set can you do, right? And then not necessary that you choose all the questions, right? You can do, let's say there are 4 sets. You saw there was line plus diagram, there is table by pie chart, right? So you know that, okay, your pie chart thing you can do well. So you saw that, okay, I will do 2 questions from this, 2 questions from this, maybe 1 question from this, 5 questions, you are done. And then maybe this puzzle you completely did, right? There was one more so you did, or some miscellaneous question, so you are done, right? So choose questions wisely, not necessary that you you do all the questions, right? It is not a mandate to attempt the entire section. So make sure that you choose the relevant questions if it is a calculation intensive thing, right? So do those things which are I mean a doable stuff. Okay. Now, if you talk about the GA and current affairs, that is the section that is different, which you might not be preparing for CAT, right? So, of course, that is a different thing which you might not have prepared for CAT, and that requires a separate preparation. Okay. So now in this thing, what you need to ensure is that uh, key, like GK is a very wide topic. Okay, it's a very wide topic, and you cannot have something like all. It's a section where you cannot maximize your score, right? It should not be the, it's a sort of section wherein you can just say that okay, I can score good, but it's not something that if you are very good with GK you will be able to score very well in the examination. No, because it's a small portion, just 10% of the paper, right? There is a hype created that GK is very important, GK is very important. Yes, GK is important in the sense that you do not fail in the section, right? But it should not be the only reason that ki, okay, if my GK, it's not like, see, if I talk about examination like testnet has 40% GK, okay, then their GK plays a very, very big role. Examination like CMAT, all three sections, all sections are easy. GK is the game changer, but it is definitely not the game changer in IIFT. However, it is important because there are some people who do not prepare GK at all and find it difficult to crack. Okay, so your focus should be there, but it should not be the only thing. So it has balance of current affairs and static GK, and we will discuss the topics that you should be doing in GK. Okay. Now there are some preparation tips. So first is solve past year papers. Past year papers are available, right? Even if you have not purchased any mock test, at least go through past year papers. So that will give you an understanding that okay, these are the topics I could have done. These are the things that you could have skipped in the examination, right? So that will give you a perfect strategy also. Okay, what should I do in the examination? See, IIFT is an examination where there is a lot of questions to attempt. You cannot attempt all. See, there each examination is a different kind, right? There are some examinations which will give you fewer questions, so you have to attempt all questions. In IIFT, you have too much to do, but given the time that you have, you cannot attempt everything, right? So you have to be selective. So make sure that while attempting these test past year papers, you learn that what are the things that suit you. Maybe your quant is not good, so you know that okay, quant mein I have to clear some bare minimum, I have to do some 7-8 questions, and then I have the rest paper to show my potential. Okay, then as I said, for VARC, you need to build reading skills as well as vocabulary because both are equally important. Practice calculation based DI. Okay, so practice not using a calculator. Practice some calculation hacks. I mean, you should know the tables of numbers, squares of numbers, right? And make sure that you avoid the use of calculator. Now, the bad thing about CAD is they've started giving calculators. So now in CAD, okay, you have that habit that okay, CAD will give you calculator. You will be able to use that and would be able to do well in this, right? But make sure that you avoid this thing as much as possible, right? Because if you avoid the use of calculator, you build yourself for other examinations, especially like examinations like IIFT, wherein you won't be given any calculator, right? So that is something that you should be focusing on. Okay, then in quant you need to focus on arithmetic, algebra, geometry, right? Especially arithmetic is very important. Arithmetic, geometry are quite important in IIFT. A lot of questions from these topics. So if you see the past, this is the trend that has been seen. Okay, so make sure that you are well prepared for this. So in mock test, right? So whenever you take mock test, make sure that you build this ability to find easy questions and solve them in the paper. So see, in IIFT the thing is that it is a mix of easy and difficult questions, right? All the questions are not difficult. Some of the questions will be difficult, there will be some questions that will be very easy also. Now if you have made this as a habit while solving mock test, so you will be able to pick, you know that okay, these are the type of questions that are easy, these are the questions in reasoning, these are the questions in verbal which are easy pickings, so that will help you maximize your score. Okay, and if you're solving sets, let us say you are solving an LR set, one LR set had 2 questions, another has 4. Make sure you see that first, see the viability before jumping into solving the question. See that it has more questions or not. Suppose it has just two questions, and on the other hand, someone has four. So you see more value in solving a four set question. Okay, so make sure that you solve set group questions also, because you score in bulk. Let us say you solve a DI, you might be able to solve four questions out of it. Okay, so see to it that if you can do that, and focus on preparation for all sections, right? Do not focus on only three sections. Do not ignore GK. You should focus on GK as well. Now, these are the topics that are asked in GK, right? So, what are the topics, important topics? Current affairs and static. So, for current affairs, you should be aware of international and national affairs, business and economy, sports, right? Sports about like Olympics would be important this year, right? Read about some Olympic famous players, not only just Indian but abroad as well, right? You should know the different awards, some recent awards which have been given to people, obituaries, if some people died recently, right? Some famous personalities died, who were they and all. Appointments, corporate appointments, right? Someone appointed as CEO or some chairman or some of the companies, or government appointments, right? Maybe some prime minister of some country, or maybe in India itself, the cabinet minister was reshuffled, right? So in July we had the cabinet reshuffle. So read about that. Science and technology, I mean, this is a favorite thing, right? They will ask you some space mission of some country, right? Or some let's say something related to COVID, right? Things related to COVID, some COVID vaccination, some COVID related research. Okay, so those things are important. In static, history, right? Geography about like deserts, lakes and all those stuff. Economy, brands, things related to brands. Indian polity. Okay, science and tech. Sports related, they might ask you terms, right? Which term is related to which sport and all. Books and authors. Okay, important days, right? When are different days? When is World Water Day celebrated, right? When is Ozone Day celebrated? All those sort of different kind of days. Okay, arts and culture, and they might ask you about dance form of different states, right? All languages or anything related to arts and culture. Then important places like national parks, airports, stadiums, etc., etc. They might ask you that. And IIFT has three match the following columns as well, right? So those match the following might ask you that four different national parks and four different basically national marks with their states, right? Or they could ask you about airports. Last to last year they asked about ports, ship ports. Okay, so these are the important things. These are the important topics for IIFT. Okay, so the current affair as well as the static portion. Okay, so we have these courses for our different examinations. Okay, and these are the mentors that prepare you for these exams. All right, so I hope you got valuable information that what should be done in the next 40 days that you have, less than 6 weeks for IFT. What are the things that you should be focusing on, right? If you are preparing for CAT, as most of you would be appearing for CAT and then IFT, so you do not need special preparation as such, but few things, as I said, like in VA you need VA part, right? The grammar plus vocab thing that you needs additional preparation. What additional you need to do, right? And GK, right? So that is something that is additional apart from CAT. See, quant is same. Okay, DILR is almost same. It's just that in DI there will be calculation heavy DI. You won't have too much of logical DI. Okay, so you need 1 hour. Even if you give 1 hour extra, right? 30 minutes to GK, 30 minutes to grammar plus vocab, 1 hour each day till CAT also. After that, of course, you will go into the IFT mode, right? So if you give this much time extra for IFT, I think that would be more than sufficient, because the remaining paper is the same thing that you have been practicing for CAT. So that is the key that you need to keep in mind. And if you talk about the number of mocks, right, I would say that five mocks are fine, because the other things also you have seen कि CAT में you have already known कि quant में क्या करना है, इसमें क्या करना है, 5 marks, and if you want to take more, maybe max up to 10. You do not need beyond 10 marks for IFT. At 5 marks are sufficient. 2 marks you can take post CAT. Okay, 3 marks you can take like once in 10 days in the next 30 days. Okay. So next 3 you can take that once in 10 days, 10, 10, 10, and 2 in the last week. Like post CAT, you can take 2 marks. Let us say CAT will get over on 20th Sunday, right? So Sunday you have CAT, right? Maybe on Monday, or Monday you might be tired. So Tuesday and Friday probably 2 marks. That should be sufficient for IFT. Okay. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this session. So don't forget to like the session and do subscribe to our channel. Okay, and so I hope I was able to give you some information about IFT. What should you should be doing in the next few days in order to crack this examination. What extra is needed apart from CAT preparation, and if you are not preparing for CAT, then of course you can completely focus on the preparation of IFT. So thanks for watching this video. Have a great night. Goodbye.